All right. All right. Let's dive into it. And I'm going to prove how effective leadership is empathetic. Okay. So I've said, you guys heard me say it. I'm going to prove it right now, once and for all, without a shadow of a doubt, that fundamentally human beings want to be successful at home, with their friends, and at work. I want you guys now to remember a time that somebody came to you and was like, hey, are you interested in doing this thing? And you're like, yes, that's the thing I do. That, in fact, is my jam. And you signed up. And then they told you what the thing was and all the thing, and they talked and they talked and they talked. And then they asked you this question. Anthony, I'm sticking with you, man. Do you know what you need to do? And you're like, I'm Anthony. My IQ is okay. Yeah, I know what I need to do. And they're like, do you have everything you need to do it? And you sincerely believe that you did. And by the way, I'm still talking to all of you. I want you guys to then remember, like, then you went away and you worked really hard for like 3 days. And you're like, I nailed this. I'm going to go back to this person that asked me to do this. And because I want to be successful, I worked really hard. I'm going to throw it on the desk and they are going to reward me with Jay Scott. This is so good, man. It's never been this good before. I've never seen good like this. I didn't know good could be spelled like this. Okay. I walk in their office. I drop it on their desk. I'm feeling so cocky. I even throw in a woot. There it is. And they look at it and they look at you and they look at it. And then you see their head start shaking and they say, dude, this isn't what I asked for. Do you guys remember how you felt in that moment? Blurt it out. One word emotion.
Good.
Disappointed.
Yeah.
Failure.
Frustrated.
Discouraged.
No bueno.
Keep going. There's more people.
Pissed.
Confused.
Dude, right? All right. So again, universal truth. That's the answer that I get every time, thousands of times, thousands upon thousands of people. I've asked that question. It's never, wasn't that big a deal. It's never, I didn't care, ambivalence, right? It's either some form of shame or frustration because you're thinking that is exactly what you asked for. Now, that is what you thought that they asked for, but they also asked a silly question like, hey, do you understand? Well, you're a smart and intelligent person. You understand something. It doesn't necessarily mean that you guys were aligned. You know, that big A word that we leaders are supposed to get, like alignment before we send somebody off to spend our time and work really hard, right? So here's the thing. I just proved it. No, not all of you guys were like, it felt basically terrible in one way or the other. So here's the interesting part. Since we all experienced that, all of us have experienced that. We wanted to get it right and we didn't get it right. And then we felt the shame of that person thinking what we thought when we became a manager for the first time. Stick with me, right? I'm going to tie this together. So now we're a manager. And when the people on our team don't get it right, that affects us negatively too, right? And so what happens is they come in, they drop it on our desk, and we're like, ugh, and we see this. It's not just us that have experienced this. And by the way, I have good news for you. Blame is nature, not nurture. We're actually wired to blame. We're blaming creatures, okay? I also have good news that we don't have to, but I'll get to that in a second, right? The point here is, now you're the manager and you're relying on them to be successful. They drop it on your desk. They didn't get it right. And you're like, weren't you listening? Like, hey, you need to ask more questions. Right? What was your priority? Like, what were you doing that you didn't focus on this? Like, we jumped to attack. We're wired to jump to attack. But tie it back, right? We weren't slackers when we got it wrong. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We were listening. We did work hard. We did make it a priority. We just got it wrong. So then, if we know that we've had that experience, why aren't we connecting that experience to our experience right there in the moment when now we're the ones on the line for something somebody else had to do, right? Here's why. Because we are wired to blame. Brene Brown says that blame is the discharging of discomfort and pain. And I know you guys are aware of this because I saw many journal posts where you guys wrote this very thing. Blame is the discharging of dysfunction and pain. Human beings retreat from pain and chase pleasure. So if it's Mustafa's fault, I don't have to feel bad. This is why we blame, right? Like if Glenn did it, if it's Glenn's fault, I don't have to feel bad. But again, as Brene Brene puts it, blame has an inverse relationship with accountability. What was my role in this situation? Well, I'm the manager, I'm the leader. What was my role in this situation?
Not enough
Well,
clarity.
if my key performance indicator is to enable my stakeholders to define and deliver the necessary and expected results, that's my failure. That's my breakdown. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then if we're to be more pragmatic about it, I'm at least 50% at fault in this situation. So I have to take at least 50% ownership in this situation because I was involved in the interaction that led to a breakdown. And I asked a silly noob question, which is, do you know what you want? Instead of, okay, do me a favor and walk me through your immediate next steps, which would have been predictive of the results that I was going to get. And I would have known what they were going to do wasn't aligned with the outcomes that I needed or was expecting. And I'll get more into active listening in a second. So what really helps me, you guys, and back to the question that you asked earlier, Anthony, what really helps me is is that I've asked this question to thousands and thousands of people. And the answer always is like some form of shame or frustration when they got it wrong. Human beings fundamentally want to be successful. That helps me. It also helps me to know, honest to God, that I've been a jerk more times, not in a couple of decades, but I've been a jerk more times as the manager than I care to admit. And I can see that now. I can directly correlate that to how I felt when it was me. And all those things that I thought about the person when I was the manager weren't true when it was me. This allows me to really feel empathetic. Second, so even though blame is instinct, Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor, teaches us that in the space between stimulus and response, we have choice. We get to choose how we're going to react to input. And so here's what I like to do. If I can, I'll close my eyes. But if somebody's looking at me, that would be weird. But at a minimum, I'm going to make sure that my feet are flat on the floor. Okay, everybody do it with me. Get your feet flat, grounded on the floor. Okay. I'm going to take a couple of deep breaths. And by the way, this all happens in a half a second, a whole second. Okay. They drop it down on my desk. I realize it's not the right thing. I put my feet flat on the floor. I take a couple of deep breaths. Science has proven that deep breathing relaxes us. Science also teaches us that we can't be frustrated. We can't be in fight or flight and relaxed at the same time. So deep breathing is going to relax me. It's going to bring me from my limbic system back up into my neocortex. The opposite, when we're frustrated, two of our brain centers shut down and we're reduced to the emotional level of an eight-year-old. So this gets dropped on my desk. I get reduced to the emotional level of an 8-year-old and I got to lead. So I put my feet flat on the floor. I take a couple of deep breaths and then I ask myself two questions, two very simple questions. What do I really want? Answer, guys. What do we all really want?
Be successful.
Be successful.
And then I remind myself, or I ask myself, what's the key performance indicator of a leader? To enable my stakeholders to define and deliver the necessary expected results. And then I look at this human being that is standing in front of me and I say, well, we definitely know now what won't work. Let's figure out how we move this forward together. I also want you guys to think about trust and relationship building, because right there in that moment, I have the opportunity to develop a deep connection with this person or erode my connection with this person. If I react as my base self, if I let my ego out of the cage and I blame and I shut this conversation down, I'm going to erode that relationship. But if I look at them and say, you know what, no worries, we've got this, we're going to figure this out together. How would you be feeling if I did that with you?
I would feel good about it.
Supported.
Yeah, much better.
So
Right,
this
supported.
is right, supported.
Yeah.
There we go. Supported, right? Like supported. Like, oh, damn, dude, let's figure this out. I don't know what I said, but we weren't on the same page. Maybe I didn't ask enough questions. Let's figure this out together. And I want to do two things. Let's first figure out how we get this moving forward, because we're 3 days behind, right? Together. And then let's figure out how together we can make sure that we were on the same page, because obviously we weren't on the same page. And for that, I'm sorry. Who's got a rule that they don't say sorry? Don't tell anybody, but there's somebody on this call that's got a rule that I don't say sorry. Here's the thing. I don't say sorry to shut people up and make the conversation go away. right? But saying to somebody, hey, you know what? I can see how this, I see your frustration. I see you feel let down. Here are the things I think that I can do or we can do together, right? I'm sincerely committing to learning with you and growing. That in and of itself is an apology. So I have no problem then saying that I'm sorry because it's powerful. It catches attention. I'm not saying you have to say it. I'm just saying it's not bad to say it. Like, I'm sorry. And what's really interesting, and I'll share this, you guys are all familiar with the fact that Steve Jobs was a screamer. Did you guys know that?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now, it was a different time. He was a real passionate guy. And I wondered early when I was learning about this, because clearly innovator changed things, changed the world, right? The world is never going to be the same has never been the same after Steve Jobs. And that he was a screamer. You know what else I learned though? Like he was just discharging all his emotion and pain. And after the fact, he would apologize, not for screaming, but for letting them down, because that failure was his. And he would say, okay, together now, let's work together to figure this out together. By the way, I'm not condoning his screaming. I'm just saying the thing that made him a good leader was when it didn't work out, when something didn't go according to plan, like he owned that. And he sat and he worked with the team and he moved it forward. And that's why all these people like followed him with such passion. All right. So leadership is what?
Empathetic.
Empathetic.
Good. I'm gonna do that one more time. Leadership is
Empathetic.
Empathetic.
all
I
right.
was going to say hard, but
It's hard. Yeah.
You know what?
Is that Molly?
That's another solid answer, Molly
Yeah,
and Anita.
I'm with
yeah.
Molly.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Thank you guys for attending the 14-week, 15-week course.